Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and busts. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, Zohran Mamdani, the mayor of New York City, pushing the city to tax hike on the rich. We heard from Governor Kathy Hochul yesterday. She laid out her budget plan. It did not include a tax on the rich, but Mamdani, the good old Democratic socialist, is continuing to push for taxing those with financial resources in New York City. And if that is not going to drive people out of New York, I don't know what is. That and his comments about abolishing ICE and a whole bunch more. We'll get to all of that. And there are also reports that there's some Democratic Socialist of America rapid response team with about 4,000 anti-ICE protesters that are sort of gearing up to cause trouble for ICE in New York City. And this comes as President Trump just said a little bit ago. He said yesterday before he left for Davos, he was saying that sanctuary cities will no longer receive federal funds by February 1st, that there will no longer be a federal pipeline to these cities if they're not going to be cooperating with federal law enforcement. It makes a lot of sense. And it could really put a juggernaut hold on a lot of cities like New York and Seattle and a whole bunch of cities across the country. There are many of these sanctuary cities now popping up. Meantime, as I mentioned, President Trump, he was over there in Davos, and very much immigration and these anti-ICE protests are really top of mind, because here he is obviously talking about Greenland like we were talking about earlier, even though Dalton doesn't like it. But despite that, he was talking about Greenland, talking about other initiatives, talking about, protecting NATO, protecting the world. And then he also said, you guys got to protect your borders. He talked about the situation that's going on in America right now. And he also talked about the risks that Europe is facing with all of their open borders. There's a number of countries, not all of them, but there's a lot of them that have had a lot of illegal immigration and have not cracked down on it even still, despite some of the warnings and some of the problems that they're even seeing in their own countries. And President Trump issued the warning to the world leaders today there in Switzerland. Take a listen.
The situation in Minnesota reminds us that the West cannot mass import foreign cultures which have failed to ever build a successful society of their own. I mean, we're taking people from Somalia, and Somalia is it's not a nation. Got no government, got no police, got no military, got no nothing. And then we have this fake congressperson who they just reported is worth $30 million. You believe this? Ilhan Omar, talking about the Constitution provides me. She comes from a country that's not a country, and she's telling us how to run America. Not going to get away with it much longer, let me tell you.
And then he talked about these anti-ICE protesters, and he said, in America, we are cracking down. Take a listen.
A lot of options, but we're working very hard on that. That's a big deal. It's not just the protests, the fake protests done by agitators and, professional insurrectionists. That's what they are. They're professional troublemakers. But we are looking very strong at the money, too, in Minnesota and other places.
And earlier today, we talked with Todd Lyons, the acting ICE director. I'll play some clips of that later, because he also talked about how they're going to be stepping up the organizers of these protests, the backers of these protests, wealthy individuals, and also, in some cases, even nonprofits that are funneling, if you will, U.S. taxpayer dollars that suddenly ends up in the hands of some of these protest groups. That's certainly not what you want your taxpayer dollars to be used for. And speaking of these anti-ICE agitators, it's really frightening. In the last few days, we have been hearing more and more from William Kelly, this guy. He's one of the organizers that was part of the effort to bust into that church in St. Paul, right outside of course, Minneapolis. And listen to this guy. This guy is nuts. I mean, if this doesn't make you feel like they're not calm, sweet little Mother Teresa's walking into the church, listen to this guy who's leading the charge.
I mean, what we're seeing around this country is they're using their political influence to attack people that disagree with them. They're going to come at me with charges, and I'm not scared of that. There's no base for these charges. I did not block them from, their service. They welcomed us in. They never asked us to leave. The police never came in and removed us. So we didn't stop their service. In fact, people were still praying the entire time. The music was still playing the entire time. So, Pam Bondi, you want to come and arrest me? You want to come and give me charges? So be it. And for all the people giving me death threats, threatening my life, kill me. Go ahead, kill me. Because you know what? As Fred Hampton said, you can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution.
Does that sound like just a nice, sweet man who just happened to be walking into a church? They were praying, as it turns out, because the pastor told everybody, pray. Just keep your head down and pray. Stay there. Pray that we get out of this alive. So, this is crazy. And here's a little bit more from this William Kelly, again, at the press conference today, defiant. And listen to what he says about Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary.
Kristi Noem, the bird-legged hoe that she is, has said she's coming to arrest us all tonight, for our little protest. And it wasn't even a protest. Let's call it what it was. We went into the house of God and preached the words of God. But, a lot of us are scared. Hell, my wife is terrified for me right now. They're trying to tie all these protests I've done together and label me as some sort of domestic terrorist. Who knows what they're going to do? But, it's still white privilege right now. We're experiencing what these Latino people feel every night, the fear that their door is going to get kicked down and they're going to get taken away. So wake up, America. They're coming for us now. They're coming for the people. Stop ignoring this. It's time to stand up. It's time to organize. It's time to stop having permitted parades. It's time for civil disobedience. Get off your asses now before they come for you. I will not be intimidated by a bird-legged hoe. All power to the people.
Sounds like a really nice guy. And remember, Jacob Fry said, we have to love our neighbors. I guess he's talking about this guy. And that is shocking. Absolutely shocking. And listen to this. This is State Senator Tina Smith, Democrat of Minnesota. She's asked about the church raid, and she seems to think that, I guess, William Kelly and his friends are just nice, sweet, kind, innocent people just tiptoeing through the tulips.
Senator, yesterday we saw a group of protesters go into the city's church to protest a pastor that they believe is an ICE agent. That has, of course, generated considerable criticism from those who say this was a desecration of a place of worship. Would you urge protesters to do more of what we're seeing here, or do you think that is counterproductive for what they're trying to achieve?
So almost all of the protests and demonstrations that we've seen in Minnesota, and especially in Minneapolis and St. Paul, have been peaceful, have been nonviolent, and of course that is the right response. What all of our messages have been is basically don't take the bait, don't fuel the president's narrative, don't fuel Donald Trump's narrative that this is a dangerous place. Let's show them how we stand up for each other and stand up for our neighbors, and that's what makes me so proud of Minnesota right now.
We just stand up for our neighbors. Everything I've seen has been peaceful. Is there anybody out there that watched what happened in the church? And there's a lot of video out there. It's horrific. They're having this peaceful church service, and suddenly these people storm in, and you can see young kids cowering next to their parents. It's really frightening. And then you hear the rhetoric of this guy, the William Kelly, even after the fact. There's no self-reflection. So we're supposed to think everything's peaceful and happy. I mean, that's a really, really frightening testament of where we are right now. Boy, oh boy, pray for America, guys. Pray for America. Let's go to Alice in Ohio on line 5. Go ahead, Alice. Your thoughts tonight. It's always great to hear from you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, well, you know, I've lived and worked in other parts of the world. People like William Kelly and Dalton need to live in another part of the world where there is no freedom in order to appreciate it. They're disgusting. And I give you credit. You always remain a lady in the face of these boors. They're disgusting. I can't believe someone would say that. We're watching things happen in our country I never thought I would see. You know, I turned 84 last month, and I remember when we didn't have to lock the doors. I remember just a little hook and I to keep the screen door to keep the wind from making it bang at night. It was before AC. I remember when people were peaceful and cared for each other. What is happening?
Yeah, we've lost civility. I agree with you, Alice. Yeah. It's really frightening. And I'm a big believer. I love to hear from all sides, which is why I open the call lines to everybody. You know, I really do. I enjoy it. I think it's important that everybody have a vote, but there's a way to talk civilly, to your point, and Dalton seemed to miss that message. And then there's also a way to express your point with some common sense, and I think he missed that one too. And there were times, believe me, I've covered many presidents in my day. There were things that Bill Clinton did. I thought Bill Clinton did a very good job, a decent job on the economy. I covered him, and if I saw Bill Clinton, he would say hello to me down the street. Biden, I covered Biden. Believe me, he was falling apart towards the end. But at the beginning of his political career, especially, and I met him sort of midway, I think, through his career. You know, I would ask a tough question, but I'd always be civil to him. And if he did a good job, I would say good job. There are a number of Democrats who have done great things, as are Republicans who have done great things. I'm a registered independent. For Dalton, probably doesn't even realize that. You know, I'm a big believer in, you know, just common sense. And my party is America. That's my party. You know, and this guy clearly doesn't get it, that people can have a mind of their own, and that if somebody does a great job and they're the president, whether they're Republican or Democrat, I'll acknowledge that. And I think we all should as Americans, because I want the best for our nation and for our country and our people. That's the party I'm rooting for, is the United States of America. And I hope that at some point we can all get together again and root for a common mission, because if we don't, we're going to fail big time, Alice, to your point.
Absolutely. And if Dalton really was drinking, he needs to be told that AA is at the top of the list.
Yeah, I think so, too. Although I don't think he'd last very long with AA. They'd be like, who the heck is this guy? Get out of here. I think they'd say you're on something stronger than booze, because it sure sounded like that tonight. Alice, thank you very much. Always great to hear from you. Everybody, we're going to continue your calls after the break. 1-800-848-9222. And you're listening to The Rita Cosby Show.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Step into your future with an all-new series, Star Trek Starfleet Academy.
Being a cadet means being open to the people around you.
I've spent my whole life getting away from stuff, letting someone in. It's hard.
I want to be captain. I need to be captain. Holly Hunter and Paul Giamatti star.
You'll encounter challenges your predecessors never had to imagine.
Starfleet Academy. New series now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is the Rita Cosby Show.
Well, now that Alice and I have decided that Dalton needs help, what are your thoughts, guys? 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Norm in Brooklyn on line 5. Go ahead, Norm.
Yeah, well, Dalton's a pig, and I'm not going to talk about him. But the other one, that William Kelly guy, a complete clown. I love how he said, you can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution. That's wrong. Just ask all those people in Tiananmen Square. They killed the revolution in China, okay, the Chinese government, by killing all the revolutionaries.
Yeah, the problem is his mind of revolution is very different, obviously. You know, I mean, he makes it sound like it's a noble thing, you know?
Right. Yeah, well, he's playing Che Guevara.
Yes.
That's what these, my guess, now I didn't see his color, but my guess he's a white guy.
Yes, he's a white guy. I saw him. Yes.
Yes, and he's probably middle to upper middle class. He's not a working class guy by the way he speaks. I bet you he went to college. It sounds like, he's a rich kid. And that's what all these revolutionaries, that's what, going back from Karl Marx all the way up to the present, they all come from the upper classes. They have the money and means to sit around and think about how to foster revolution.
By the way, just like Black Lives Matter, Norm, remember during BLM, a lot of the people that were busted were like kids of very wealthy families in New York, especially in the protests. I guess here's my question to you, Norm. Do you think somebody like a William Kelly, and I don't know his situation. I know what he looks like. I saw the images. I saw him screaming at the press conference. You guys heard it. But do you think he's doing it on his own? Do you think he's part of a paid group? I do believe there are many agitators that are part of these paid groups around the country. Or do you think he's just one of these people who will do it no matter what because he's so, soaked in the cause? Your thoughts?
He'll do it no matter what, but he's getting paid for it. They're getting money. I mean, they have benefactors. I don't know. If he's in Antifa, if he does the pro-Palestine rallies and goes to whatever. If he was on the opposite side of the line when I was screaming, against the mandates, and he was for the mandates, he's getting paid.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he is, and that's why I also think, Norm, it's key that we find out who is doing the paying, and that seems to be a big focus now. I mean, Pam Bondi went into Minneapolis. There are reports tonight that J.D. Vance is going to go and meet with ICE agents in Minneapolis. This is clearly a huge focus of the Trump administration. Who is coordinating this? Who's spending the money? And I think they got to throw the book at these people. There's a lot of charges, like RICO charges.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Rita Cosby is on.
Well, I think we're all pretty heated after hearing from Dalton. A lot of you are talking about it on social media. Coming to my defense, and thank you very much. I appreciate it very, very much. Ed Foreman, my favorite here, says, great show. You handled Dalton like a lady. You even gave him a jail free card. But you're right. I think we have to roll the tag in for that guy. Brittany for USA says that Dalton is a classless lowlife. Rita's always so kind to her listeners. Thank you. And then here's my other favorite suggestion. This comes from USA Praise One. Says, at Rita Cosby, of course, on Twitter, we should go to Greenland and Iceland. You could lead your fans on an adventure there. Count me in. So I think I need to do a fan trip. That would be fun. It'd be really fun. I'd love to hang out with all of you guys. And maybe we stop in Greenland. Remember, I'm half Danish, so we got a good in there. And we know Trump and we know the U.S. military. So we'd have a great time there. And then we go from there to Iceland because Greenland is ice and Iceland is green. So you end on the green stuff, which is always good. So anyway, that could be, we might have to work on that. That would be really, really fun. I love the suggestions and keep all your tweets coming, you guys. I love your comments. Well, one comment I didn't like to see today, this came from Democrat Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. He is the Democratic leader in the House. He's the House Minority Leader. And listen to what he had to say about ICE. He really tried to flip the script in regards. He was asked about this protest, this storming of the church, which is just shocking. And the Department of Justice is saying under Pam Bondi that expect charges to be coming soon. And there should be a lot of charges. I brought up maybe the financiers of these protesters, whoever they are. RICO, there's a whole bunch of conspiracy charges. And then when you get to even the breaking into the church and the storming of church service, there's so many civil rights violations, even on a state level. If the state prosecutors were to go after them, I don't see that under Tim Walz. But from a state perspective, you could do trespassing. There's so many things. But yet, if you listen to Democrat Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, he says it's Trump and ICE that are storming churches. Listen to this one.
That's common sense. ICE should not be able to storm houses of worship, hospitals, and schools. That's common sense. That relates to protocols that exist for every other law enforcement agency in the country. ICE should have a use of force standard. None currently exists.
That's incredible. The question was about Minnesota and the anti-ICE protesters coming in. That was the question. And he says, ICE shouldn't barge into churches. That's not the problem. People like William Kelly and his friends, that's the problem for peaceful parishioners. Here is Congressman Ted Lieu, Democrat of California, because, again, the problems all go back to ICE. Listen to him.
Donald Trump has sent ICE across the country to try and intimidate people and communities in various states, and the people of Minnesota said, no, we're not going to take it. We will not yield. We will not bend the knee. And every time ICE engages in what appears to be abuse, more Minnesotans show up. Every time ICE and Border Patrol engage in what appear to be unlawful actions, more Minnesotans show up and observe, film, and live stream ICE. And this is so important because the evidence that is being gathered can be used in future years. And while this administration might not prosecute ICE officers or Border Patrol officers for violating federal law, a future administration can do so. The statute of limitations for most federal crimes is 5 years.
I mean, it's incredible. All the focus with them is ICE. There's no rebuke of those storming the churches. And then you got folks like Zohran Mamdani, who, again, just a few hours ago, doubled down on wanting to increase taxes for the wealthy, even though Kathy Hochul didn't put it in her state of the state. It doesn't mean she's not going to do it. Maybe she'll try to do it after Election Day if she gets voted in for re-election. She knows that that's not very popular with voters, so she might try to kind of stay cagey on it until Election Day. But Zohran Mamdani, unafraid, unabashed, saying, no, I'm going to raise taxes. And then he also doubled down, let's not forget this, on ICE, saying they should not even exist. Listen to this.
I want to know where you come down on abolishing ICE and if you believe that ICE has any legitimate law enforcement role.
You know, I am in support of abolishing ICE, and I'll tell you why. Because what we've what we see is an entity that has no interest in fulfilling its stated reason to exist. We're seeing a government agency that is supposed to be enforcing some kind of immigration law, but instead what it's doing is terrorizing people no matter their immigration status, no matter the facts of the law, no matter the facts of the case. And I'm tired of waking up every day and seeing a new image of someone being dragged out of a car, dragged out of their home, dragged out of their life. What we need to see is humanity. And there is a way to care about immigration in this city and in this country with a sense of humanity. What we're seeing from ICE is not it, and we have not seen that from them in a long, long time.
So that's amazing. He's the mayor of the biggest city in America. He wants to raise taxes, and he wants to get rid of ICE altogether, and he says it all with a straight face. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Tony in Pennsylvania, line 5. Go ahead, Tony.
Hi, Rita. Love your show. Love your program.
Thank you.
I'm going to kick out of this guy, Lemon, who goes into church to make a protest or make his presence known. I would like to see that jerk try to pull that same stunt in a mosque.
Yeah, you're right. You know, Tony, I'm glad you're saying that because it should be the same standard for religious services everywhere. And if he went into a mosque, I'd say, I don't know, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. How long do you think it would take until they would start letting him see Allah? What do you think?
I agree. And, you know, this idea about Mamdani, you talk about a misplaced brain. I can't say enough about the insanity of him getting elected mayor of New York.
It is still a shocker, Tony. I'll give you that. It is a absolute shocker. I think we're all stunned, and you're right. But New York voted for him, and he said who he was. I guess if there's anything I can give Mamdani credit for, he's not backing away from what he campaigned on. A lot of times they say these things and you go, oh, no, that's never going to happen, or he didn't really mean that. He meant it, and he's doubling down and he's tripling down, and that's why it's a pretty scary thing to hear. And, in fact, I want to play, this is cut 16, because speaking of which, one of the things, he's been really anti-Israel. Hardcore anti-Israel. And everyone's saying, oh, once he gets elected, New York, it's the biggest Jewish population outside of Israel, New York City. He's going to loosen up. Nope. Here is Mamdani, and listen to what he had to say about Israel. This was today.
Judge Street Journal.
I wanted to get your response to your comptroller, Mark Levine, saying that he was open to buying Israel bonds on Saturday. Is that something New York should be doing? And do you have any leverage negotiating power to express your stance?
So I've made clear my position, which is that I don't think that we should purchase Israel bonds. We don't purchase bonds for any other sovereign nation's debt. And the comptroller has also made his position clear, and I continue to stand by mine.
Yeah, I stand by my position. I don't think that we should purchase Israel bonds. Wow. That is anti-Semitic at its core. That's all I've got to say. The guy's anti-Semitic before, and he has continued to be anti-Semitic, has not changed. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Viviana in Brooklyn, line 5. Go ahead, Viviana.
Rita, I am telling you, the show is exploding with so much truth.
Thank you.
I'm a chaplain. I am a chaplain in New York City. And one of the things that I am trying to encourage people to do, especially pastors and leaders, is to speak out about what happened in Minnesota. If they don't do that now, like your other caller said, if they tried this in a mosque, forget it. They would be all over the street. One of the other things, Rita, and I thank you for taking the call, is that Commissioner Tisch should be investigating these DSA people that are training 4,000 plus of these kind of anti-ICE demonstrators here in the city to do the same thing they're doing in Minnesota. And then today, the reason I called even more is 2 anti-Semitic incidents in a park, a children's park in Borough Park, where they're putting swastikas and all. They are the ones that are coming after us, anti-American activists, because they lost the election. They're using this ICE issue to try to do what he said, a revolution. They're coming for us. We have to stop them.
You know, Viviana, and you mentioned that you are a chaplain. I want to first go to your first point. You made a lot of really good ones here tonight. And I really appreciate your call. It's wonderful to hear from you and get your perspective. And God bless you for what you're doing, because that's a beautiful, important position, being a chaplain. I think your message is really powerful. Your especially your first point, where you talked about churches need to speak out, and pastors and all religious leaders need to be speaking out. I mean, imagine if right now, whether it's in Brooklyn or whether it was in Minneapolis, if a group of religious leaders got together and said, and especially ones from all faiths, that would be extremely powerful, got together publicly and said, you know, we're not going to tolerate this. What happened in that church in St. Paul shouldn't happen to any religious, location of worship by any means, whether it's I think that would be so powerful. Have a rabbi, have yourself, have, an imam, all of you standing together as one and saying all religions must be protected and parishioners must be protected. And I would love to see that. I hope you can organize something like that. And I hope also other people of faith listening will do the same, because I think that would be one of the most powerful, beautiful, clear messages. And who better than you folks coming together and send that message, and especially of all faiths. I'd love to see some imams out there saying this should not happen, and rabbis, everybody coming out. That would be powerful. The other thing you brought up about Jessica Tisch, the NYPD commissioner. The problem is they're organizing these anti-ICE protests. Until they do something that crosses the line, and you've even seen in Minneapolis, there is so much latitude for protesters because they don't want to, quote, infringe on free speech. I contend, and I bet you if you pull that William Kelly guy over, he'd say what he did in the church was free speech. Obviously, I don't think so. I think most Americans, you don't either, right? I mean, come on.
Definitely not.
Right, I agree.
That's intimidation, aggravation, and terror tactics to say, I can go into your space anytime I want to, and then use the Constitution to try to say that what I did was okay. No, that was a travesty.
I agree.
And they cannot hide it.
I agree.
They cannot hide it.
The problem is, Viviana, the only way that from a police way to go after individuals is until they have physically crossed the line. Talking about something and planning to go up against ICE, that is free speech until they actually do something like block a roadway. I contend there were people who blocked, I believe it was in Brooklyn, where they blocked one of the ICE facilities. Do you remember that? I'm not sure. Maybe it was downtown. I think it was Brooklyn. Yep, it was downtown. Exactly. They blocked I think all of those people should have been arrested because suddenly they're impeding law enforcement. That's a different thing. If you're peacefully protesting on the side of the road, even if you're shouting some horrible things, that's not great. But if you're sort of shouting it, especially if you're a citizen, so organizing to do something until they actually do something that, quote, is pretty obvious to cross the line. And the problem is also, it's New York City that when you've got a Mayor Mamdani who's saying, keep going, guys, I'm rooting for you, protesters. I mean, he's already clearly said what side he's on. He even said that in the campaign. And that's why I think it's going to get messy when ICE does do its next sort of, bus, if you will, in New York. And there's a lot of bad folks here in New York. And unfortunately, New York is not cooperating. And once February 1st hits, Viviana, now that Trump has sort of drawn the line in the sand, saying that he's going to cut off federal funds, and Mamdani's saying, well, then we just won't take federal funds. We'll have to figure out a way around it. It's going to get very, very bumpy. And that's why we keep talking about this now February 1st deadline, because unless Trump sees some movement, he's going to stick to this February 1st and try to send a message. And I wish they had done it even sooner, because I think, don't you? Some of these people like Mamdani and these others.
I applaud the president in saying these sanctuary cities and states, they're not constitutional, and I'm not going to keep on giving them money so that they can either give it to terrorist activities or defraud the New York State taxpayers. The thing is with Mamdani, he's a two-faced. He says, everyone is safe in my city, not if he allows the criminals to maintain their grip on the city and then try to get the ICE officers to be the criminals instead of getting the criminals out of New York.
Absolutely. He's not keeping the community safe.
You.
Viviana, you're great. You got to call back again. You have just amazing perspective and such a beautiful heart and obviously a love of this city and this country. So thank you, Viviana, and keep up the beautiful work that you're doing too. It is so important. Thank you very much. Hope to hear from you soon. And everybody now support our heroes.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Support Our Heroes.
And this is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Support Our Heroes segment with the powerful story from Deer Park, New York, where local resident veteran Ted Korn served in the Army National Guard 71st Infantry and the U.S. Army Reserves. From 1969 to 1979, he's dedicated decades since helping veterans across Long Island. And the 79-year-old was honored recently for his distinguished military service and lifelong dedication to the community when he was named 2025 Veteran of the Year. He said, anything I can do to help a veteran, I do, noting that he also hands out bracelets bearing the symbols of all U.S. Armed Forces branches to any veteran he crosses paths with. He said, I'm so happy to help any veteran any way that I can. Bravo to him. And of course, all of our great members of the U.S. military and their families and those who continue to serve even after leaving active duty. I love that. And everybody support America's military and first responder heroes. Donate $11 a month to the absolutely incredible Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Be sure to check them out. They do so many extraordinary things. Check them out at T2T.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time, 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And tomorrow, by the way, former special counsel Jack Smith, remember, tied to Mar-a-Lago, tied to so many of the investigations against President Trump, so many of the bogus investigations against President Trump. He is going to be testifying before the House Judiciary Committee. It'll be really interesting to hear what is going to come about of that. Earlier today, we talked to Chairman Jim Jordan of the House Judiciary Committee, said he can't wait to grill this guy. Can you imagine all the details that he has, all the information that he has, also possibly tied to Arctic frost? Remember where they were secretly recording and following many members of the Republican Party, like some major senators and some major House members? It'll be really interesting to see the tables turned on Jack Smith. So we'll be talking about that and a whole bunch more. Everybody have a good night and pray for Dalton.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.